Mantises are an order Mantodea of insects that contains over 2,400 species in about 460 genera in 33 families. The largest family is the Mantidae mantids. Mantises are distributed worldwide in temperate and tropical habitats. They have triangular heads with bulging eyes supported on flexible necks. Their elongated bodies may or may not have wings, but all Mantodea have forelegs that are greatly enlarged and adapted for catching and gripping prey. Their upright posture, while remaining stationary with forearms folded, has led to the common name praying mantis. The closest relatives of mantises are termites and cockroaches Blatidea, which are all within the superorder Dictyoptera. Mantises are sometimes confused with stick insects Phasmatodea, other elongated insects such as grasshoppers Orthoptera, or other more distantly related insects with raptorial forelegs such as mantis flies Mantidae. Mantises are mostly ambush predators, but a few ground-dwelling species are found actively pursuing their prey. They normally live for about a year. In cooler climates, the adults lay eggs in autumn, then die. The eggs are protected by their hard capsules and hatch in the spring. Females sometimes practice sexual cannibalism, eating their mates after copulation. Mantises were considered to have supernatural powers by early civilizations, including ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, and Assyria. A cultural trope popular in cartoons imagines the female mantis as a femme fatale. Mantises are among the insects most commonly kept as pets. The name Mantodea is formed from the ancient Greek words mu e nu tal iota sigma mantis, meaning prophet, and epsilon delta omicron sigma eidos, meaning form or type. It was coined in 1838 by the German entomologist Hermann Burmeister. 1-2. The name mantid properly refers only to members of the family Mantidae, which was, historically, the only family in the order. The other common name, praying mantis, applied to any species in the order 3, though in Europe mainly to Mantis Religiosa, comes from the typical prayer-like posture with folded forelimbs. For 5. The vernacular plural mantises, used in this article, was confined largely to the U.S., with mantids predominantly used as the plural in the UK and elsewhere, until the family Mantidae was further split in 2002. At present, only some 80 out of 430 known genera are mantids. The rest are in other families. 6-7 over 2,400 species of mantis in about 430 genera are recognized. 8. They are predominantly found in tropical regions, but some live in temperate areas. 9-10. The systematics of mantises have long been disputed. Mantises, along with stick insects Phasmatodea, were once placed in the order Orthoptera, with the cockroaches now Blatidea and ice crawlers now Blatidea. Christensen 1991 combined the Mantodea with the cockroaches and termites into the order Dictyoptera, suborder Mantodea. 11-12 evolutionary relationships based on Evangelista et al. 2019 are shown in the cladogram. 13 Dictyoptera Mantodea mantises, Blatidea cockroaches, and termites. One of the earliest classifications splitting an all-inclusive Mantidae into multiple families was that proposed by Bayer in 1968, recognizing 8 families. 14, though it was not until Ehrman's reclassification into 15 families in 2007 that a multiple family classification became universally adopted. Class, in 1997, studied the external male genitalia and postulated that the families Ceticidae and Metalliticidae diverged from the other families at an early date. 15. However, as previously configured, the Mantidae and Thespidae especially were considered polyphyletic. 16. So the Mantodea have been revised substantially as of 2019 and now includes 29 families. 17 mantises are thought to have evolved from cockroach-like ancestors. 19. The earliest confidently identified mantis fossils date to the early Cretaceous. 16 fossils of the group are rare. By 2022, 37 fossil species are known. 20 fossil mantises, including one from Japan with spines on the front legs, as in modern mantises. have been found in Cretaceous amber. 21 most fossils in amber are nymphs. Compression fossils in rock include adults. Fossil mantises from the Crato Formation in Brazil include the 10 mm (0.39 in long Santamantis axelrodi, described in 2003. As in modern mantises, the front legs were adapted for catching prey. Well-preserved specimens yield details as small as 5 micrometers through X-ray computed tomography. 16 extinct families and genera include similar insects in the Neuropterabacus of the superficially similar raptorial forelegs. Mantid flies may be confused with mantises, though they are unrelated. Their similarity is an example of convergent evolution. Mantid flies do not have tegmina, leathery forewings, like mantises. Their antennae are shorter and less thread-like, and the raptorial tibia is more muscular than that of a similar-sized mantis and bends back farther in preparation for shooting out to grasp prey. 22. Anatomymantis wings, the forewing leathery, the hindwing triangular wing arrangement of a typical mantis. Adult male Raptrix perspicuraptural foreleg of a mantis, armed with long spines. The raptorial foreleg, showing the unusually long coxa, which, together with the trochanter, gives the impression of a femur. The femur itself is the proximal segment of the grasping part of the leg. Mantis moving on a wall. Mantises have large, triangular heads with a beak-like snout and mandibles. They have two bulbous compound eyes, 3 small simple eyes, and a pair of antennae. The articulation of the neck is also remarkably flexible. Some species of mantis can rotate their heads nearly 180. 5. The mantis thorax consists of a prothorax, a mesothorax, and a metathorax. In all species apart from the genus Mantodea, the prothorax, which bears the head and forelegs, is much longer than the other two thoracic segments. The prothorax is also flexibly articulated, allowing for a wide range of movements of the head and for limbs, while the remainder of the body remains more or less immobile. 23. 24. Mantises also are unique to the Dictyoptera in that they have tympanate hearing, with 2 tympana in an auditory chamber in their metathorax. Most mantises can only hear ultrasound. 25 mantises have spiked, grasping forelegs, raptorial legs in which prey items are caught and held securely. In most insect legs, including the posterior forelegs of a mantis, the coxa and trochanter combine as an inconspicuous base of the leg. In the raptorial legs, however, the coxa and trochanter combine to form a segment about as long as the femur, which is a spiky part of the grasping apparatus. See illustration. Located at the base of the femur is a set of discoidal spines, usually for a number, but ranging from none to as many as 5 depending on the species. These spines are preceded by a number of tooth-like tubercles, which, along with a similar series of tubercles along the tibia and the apical claw near its tip, give the foreleg of the mantis its grasp on its prey. The foreleg ends in a delicate tarsus, used as a walking appendage, made of 4 or 5 segments and ending in a 2-toed claw with no aurolium. 23-26 mantises can be loosely categorized as being Macropterus long-winged, Brachypterus short-winged, Micropterus vestigial-winged, or Apterus wingless. If not wingless, a mantis has 2 sets of wings. The outer wings, or tegmina, are usually narrow and leathery. They function as camouflage and as a shield for the hindwings, which are clearer and more delicate. 23-27. The abdomen of all mantises consists of 10 turgets, with a corresponding set of 9 sternites visible in males and 7 visible in females. The abdomen tends to be slimmer in males than females, but ends in a pair of cerci in both sexes. 23. Vision head of a mantis, with large compound eyes and labrum head of Archamantis latistyla, showing the compound eyes and labrum mantises have stereo vision. 28, 29, 30. They locate their prey by sight. Their compound eyes contain up to 10,000 ommatidia. A small area at the front called the fovea has greater visual acuity than the rest of the eye, and can produce the high resolution necessary to examine potential prey. The peripheral Mantidea are concerned with perceiving motion. When a moving object is noticed, the head is rapidly rotated to bring the object into the visual field of the fovea. Further motions of the prey are then tracked by movements of the mantis's head so as to keep the image centered on the fovea. 2631. The use of stereoscopic vision differs from humans or primates because they specifically utilize this vision for capturing and spotting prey. 32. The eyes are widely spaced and laterally situated, affording a wide binocular field of vision and precise stereoscopic vision at close range. 33. The dark spot on each eye that moves as it rotates its head is a pseudopupil. This occurs because the Mantidea that are viewed head-on absorb the incident light, while those to the side reflect it. 34. As their hunting relies heavily on vision, mantises are primarily diurnal. Many species, however, fly at night and then may be attracted to artificial lights. They have good night vision. 35 mantises in the family Reproduction collected at night have been shown to be predominantly males. 36. This is probably true for most mantises. Nocturnal flight is especially important to males in locating less mobile females by detecting their pheromones. Flying at night exposes mantises to fewer bird predators than diurnal flight would. Many mantises also have an auditory thoracic organ that helps them avoid bats by detecting their echolocation calls and responding evasively. 37-38 Diet and hunting mantis eating a cricket. Tenedera sinensis feeding on a cricket duration 5 minutes and 40 seconds. 540 Tenedera sinensis consuming a smaller immature mantis. Duration for minutes and 58 seconds. For 58, a Chinese mantis catches a differential grasshopper. Mantis are generalist predators of arthropods. 9. The majority of mantises are ambush predators that only feed upon live prey within their reach. They either camouflage themselves and remain stationary, waiting for prey to approach, or stalk their prey with slow, stealthy movements. 39. Larger mantises sometimes eat smaller individuals of their own species. 40. As well as small vertebrates, such as lizards, frogs, fish, and particularly small birds. 41-40-43 Most mantises stalk tempting prey if it strays close enough, and will go further when they are especially hungry. 44. Once within reach, mantises strike rapidly to grasp the prey with their spiked raptorial forelegs. 45. Some ground and bark species pursue their prey for example, members of a few genera, such as the ground mantises Entella, Ligaria, and Ligariella run over dry ground seeking prey, much as tiger beetles do. 23. Some mantis species, such as Uintisa pulchra, can discriminate between different types of prey, and approached spiders mimicking non-aggressive ant species much more than spiders that mimicked aggressive ant species. The foregut of some species extends the whole length of the insect and can be used to store prey for digestion later. This may be advantageous in an insect that feeds intermittently. 47. Chinese mantises live longer, grow faster, and produce more young when they are able to eat pollen. 48. When directly threatened, many mantis species stand tall and spread their forelegs, with their wings fanning out wide. The fanning of the wings makes the mantis seem larger and more threatening, with some species enhancing this effect with bright colors and patterns on their hind wings and inner surfaces of their front legs. If harassment persists, a mantis may strike with its forelegs and attempt to pinch or bite. As part of the bluffing dymatic threat display, some species may also produce a hissing sound by expelling air from the abdominal spiracles. Mantises lack chemical protection, so their displays are largely bluff. When flying at night, at least some mantises are able to detect the echolocation sounds produced by bats when the frequency begins to increase rapidly, indicating an approaching bat. They stop flying horizontally and begin a descending spiral toward the safety of the ground, often preceded by an aerial loop or spin. If caught, they may slash captors with their raptorial legs. 52, 56, 57 mantises, like stick insects, show rocking behavior in which the insect makes rhythmic, repetitive side-to-side movements. Functions proposed for this behavior include the enhancement of crypsis by means of the resemblance to vegetation moving in the wind. However, the repetitive swaying movements may be most important in allowing the insects to discriminate objects from the background by their relative movement, a visual mechanism typical of animals with simpler sight systems. Rocking movements by these generally sedentary insects may replace flying or running as a source of relative motion of objects in the visual field. 58. As ants may be predators of mantises. Genera such as Loxamantis, Orthidera, and Statilia, like many other arthropods, avoid attacking them. A variety of arthropods, including some early instar mantises, exploit this behavior and mimic ants to evade their predators. 59. The mating season in temperate climates typically takes place in autumn, 60-61, while in tropical areas, mating can occur at any time of the year. 61. To mate following courtship. The male usually leaps onto the female's back, clasping her thorax and wing bases with his forelegs. He then arches his abdomen to deposit and store sperm in a special chamber near the tip of the female's abdomen. The female lays between 10 and 400 eggs, depending on the species. Eggs are typically deposited in a froth mass produced by glands in the abdomen. This froth hardens, creating a protective capsule, which together with the egg mass is called an ootheca. Depending on the species, the ootheca can be attached to a flat surface, wrapped around a plant, or even deposited in the ground. 60. Despite the versatility and durability of the eggs, they are often preyed on, especially by several species of parasitoid wasps. In a few species, mostly ground and bark mantises in the family Pterocotidae, the mother guards the eggs. 60. The cryptic pterochodes Morse positions herself on bark with her abdomen covering her egg capsule, ambushing passing prey and moving very little until the eggs hatch. 11. An unusual reproductive strategy is adopted by Brunner's stick mantis from the southern United States. No males have ever been found in this species, and the females breed parthenogenetically. 9. The ability to reproduce by parthenogenesis has been recorded in at least 2 other species, Sphaudromantis viridis and Myomantis sp, although these species usually reproduce sexually. 62, 63, 64. In temperate climates, adults do not survive the winter and the eggs undergo a diapause, hatching in the spring. 12. As in closely related insect groups in the superorder Dictyoptera, mantises go through 3 life stages: egg, nymph, and adult. Mantises are among the hemimetabolous insects. For smaller species, the eggs may hatch in 3 to 4 weeks, as opposed to 4 to 6 weeks for larger species. The nymphs may be colored differently from the adult, and the early stages are often mimics of ants. Molting can happen 5 to 10 times before the adult stage is reached, depending on the species. The lifespan of a mantis depends on the species. Smaller ones may live for 2 to 8 weeks, while larger species may live for 2 to 6 months. 924. Sexual cannibalism is common among most predatory species of mantises in captivity. It has sometimes been observed in natural populations, where about a quarter of male-female encounters result in the male being eaten by the female. 65, 66, 67. Around 90% of the predatory species of mantises exhibit sexual cannibalism. 68. Adult males typically outnumber females at first, but their numbers may be fairly equivalent later in the adult stage. 12. Possibly because females selectively eat the smaller males. 69. In Tenedera sinensis, 83% of males escape cannibalism after an encounter with a female. But since multiple matings occur, the probability of a male's being eaten increases cumulatively. 66. The female may begin feeding by biting off the male's head as they do with regular prey. And if mating has begun, the male's movements may become even more vigorous in its delivery of sperm. Early researchers thought that because copulatory movement is controlled by a ganglion in the abdomen, not the head, removal of the male's head was a reproductive strategy by females to enhance fertilization while obtaining sustenance. Later, This behavior appeared to be an artifact of intrusive laboratory observation. Whether the behavior is natural in the field or also the result of distractions caused by the human observer remains controversial. Mantises are highly visual organisms and notice any disturbance in the laboratory or field, such as bright lights or moving scientists. Chinese mantises that had been fed ad libitum so that they were not hungry actually displayed elaborate courtship behavior when left undisturbed. The male engages the female in a courtship dance to change her interest from feeding to mating. 70. Under such circumstances, the female has been known to respond with a defensive dymatic display by flashing the colored eye spots on the inside of her front legs. 71. The reason for sexual cannibalism has been debated. Experiments show that females on poor diets are likelier to engage in sexual cannibalism than those on good diets. 70. Some hypothesize that submissive males gain a selective advantage by producing offspring. This is supported by a quantifiable increase in the duration of copulation among males, which are cannibalized, in some cases doubling both the duration and the. This is contrasted by a study where males were seen to approach hungry females with more caution and were shown to remain mounted on hungry females for a longer time, indicating that males that actively avoid cannibalism may mate with multiple females. The same study also found that hungry females generally attracted fewer males than those that were well-fed. 73. The act of dismounting after copulation is dangerous for males, for it is the time that females most frequently cannibalize their mates. An increase in mounting duration appears to indicate that males wait for an opportune time to dismount a hungry female who would be likely to cannibalize her mate. 71. That the sex ratio in an environment determines male copulatory behavior of Mantis Religiosa, which in turn affects the cannibalistic tendencies of the female, and support the sperm competition hypothesis because the polyandrous treatment recorded the highest copulation duration time. This further suggests that dismounting the female can make males susceptible to cannibalism. 74. Relationship with Humanson culture, literature, and art. Bronze ink brush rest in the shape of a mantis, Edo period, Japan, c. 1800. One of the earliest mantis references is in the ancient Chinese dictionary area, which gives its attributes in poetry, where it represents courage and fearlessness, and a brief description. A later text, the Jingxi Zhanglei Dogwen Benkaozi H. Transl, Great History of Medical Material annotated and arranged by types, based upon the classics and historical works from 1108, gives accurate details of the construction of the egg packages, the development cycle, anatomy, and the function of the antennae. Although mantises are rarely mentioned in ancient Greek sources, a female mantis in threat posture is accurately illustrated on a series of 5th century BC silver coins, including didrachms, from Metapontum in Lucania. 75. In the 10th century AD, Byzantine-era adages, Suidas describes an insect resembling a slow-moving green locust with long front legs. 76. He translates Zenobia's to point 9 for with the word Syrphos, maybe a mantis, and gros, an old woman, implying a thin, dried-up stick of a body. 77. Mantises are a common motif in Luna polychrome ceramics of pre-Columbian Nicaragua and are believed to represent a deity or spirit called Madre Culebra. 78. Western descriptions of the biology and morphology of the mantises became more accurate in the 18th century. Rossel von Rosenhoff illustrated and described mantises and their cannibalistic behavior in the Insektenbelustigungen, Insect Entertainments. 79. The thin-legged Mantis Gondulus gondulatis an island. Aldous Huxley reflected on death as a pair of Gondulus gondolodes mated. In the early 1900s, people in the United States Ozarks region referred to them as devil's horses. 80. Aldous Huxley made philosophical observations about the nature of death while to mantises mated in The Sight of Two Characters in his 1960 novel Island. The species was Gondulus gondolodes. The naturalist Gerald Durrell's humorously autobiographical 1956 book My Family and Other Animals includes a 4-page account of an almost evenly matched battle between a mantis and a gecko. Shortly before the fatal denouement, Durrell narrates, Geronimo the gecko crashed into the mantis and made her reel, and grabbed the underside of her thorax in his jaws. Sicily, the mantis retaliated by snapping both her front legs shut on Geronimo's hind legs. They rustled and staggered across the ceiling and down the wall, each seeking to gain some advantage. 81 M.C. Escher's woodcut dream depicts a human-sized mantis standing on a sleeping bishop. 82. A cultural trope imagines the female mantis as a femme fatale. Martial arts grandmasters of the Shaolin Temple, Shidaru and Shidayang, demonstrating the southern praying mantis style of martial art. Two martial arts separately developed in China have movements and fighting strategies based on those of the mantis. 1991, as one of these arts was developed in northern China and the other in southern parts of the country. The arts are today referred to both in English and Chinese as Northern Praying Mantis 92 and Southern Praying Mantis 91. Both are very popular in China and have also been exported to the West in recent decades. 91, 92, 93, 90 for in mythology and religion. According to local beliefs in Africa, this insect brings good luck. The mantis was revered by the southern African Khoi and San, in whose cultures man and nature were intertwined. For its praying posture, the mantis was even named Hottentots, god of the Hottentots in the Afrikaans language that had developed among the first European settlers. 96. However, at least for the San, the mantis was only one of the manifestations of a trickster deity, Kagan, who could assume many other forms, such as a snake, hare, or vulture. 97. Several ancient civilizations did consider the insect to have supernatural powers. For the Greeks, it had the ability to show lost travelers the way home. In the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead, the bird fly is a minor god that leads the souls of the dead to the underworld. In a list of 9th century BC Nineveh grasshoppers, Buru, the mantis is named necromancer, Buruanmeli, and soothsayer Buruanmeli Ashaga. 79-98. Some pre-Columbian cultures in western Nicaragua have preserved oral traditions of the mantis as Madre Culebra, a powerful predator and symbol of female symbolic authority. 78. In 2013, at least 31 species were kept and bred in the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and the United States. 101. In 1996, at least 50 species were known to be kept in captivity by members of the Mantis Study Group. 100 to for pest contralaterally occurring mantis populations provide plant pest control. 103 gardeners who prefer to avoid pesticides may encourage mantises in the hope of controlling insect pests. 104. However, mantises do not have key attributes of biological pest control agents. They do not specialize in a single pest insect and do not multiply rapidly in response to an increase in such a prey species, but are general predators. They therefore have negligible value in biological control. 100 for two species, the Chinese mantis and the European mantis, were deliberately introduced to North America in the hope that they would serve as pest controls for agriculture. They have spread widely in both the United States and Canada. 105 robotics. Further information. Biomimicry. In 2016, the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence had produced a prototype robot inspired by the forelegs of the praying mantis, with front legs that allow the robot to walk, climb steps. The multi-jointed leg provides dexterity via a rotatable joint. Future models may include a more spiked foreleg to improve the grip and ability to support